I'm Jerry Crow with the Pacifica Historical Society, and tonight's hosts of Footprints of Pacifica, where we explore the lure and lore of lovely Pacifica, its character and its characters. Tonight's guests are from the Rotary Club of Pacifica. I have Steve Wright on my left and Bob Jacobson opposite me, and we'll help celebrate the local Rotary Club's 50th year as a Pacifica institution. First, I'll welcome Steve Wright, a member since November 1987 and president in the year 1990 and 91, who has done a great deal over the years, especially for the efforts to raise money for the worldwide effort to eliminate polio and to provide defibrillators for the Pacifica Police Department and fire cams that are capable of seeing through smoke for the Pacifica Fire Department. We also have Bob Jacobson here, who has joined our club in November of 2009 while volunteering on one of the projects we'll talk about a little bit later, and Bob will be next year's president. I personally was president from 1998 and 1999. So first I'd like to discuss a little bit how the club got started back in 1962, and I think Steve has a line on that.
The club itself was started in 1962. This, as you mentioned, is our 50th year. It was one of the leading institutions that was started in Pacifica when Pacifica was a very new community. We chartered in '57, so we were only 5 years old. Ourselves, Lions, Kiwanians, service clubs that banded together to try and make our communities better and our world as a whole better. The first 25 years, we were a growing organization. When I joined in 1987, we had roughly 30 people that were members. And what was very interesting in '87 is that Rotary International had just welcomed women into our ranks in the United States at that time, and now I'm very happy to say worldwide. And when I joined, we had, I believe, one lady member, and currently they're roughly half of our club population at this point. So when I joined, it was basically the same age group, members joining much younger than I am now and continuing. But now we have the ladies that have joined us.
I do remember too that Carl Baldwin, the first city manager, was one of the founding members. He was a member until he left for the Far East for a time working for the government. And he's currently retired and is not a member at this time. One of the things that's always necessary to do if you want to be an effective service club is raise funds, and we've tried a variety of methods over the years. I was reading back through some of the very early minutes of the meetings, and a type of bowl-a-thon that they tried in the late 60s, a little different than the way we do it these days, but they had a deal with the bowling alley where anybody that was willing to sign up and pay about $1 override per game would be a part of this tournament, and there were prizes to be awarded for the high scores, and they had a drawing, the usual kind of incentives. And but by the time you were in the club, I think the carnival had become the major fundraiser?
Had definitely become the major fundraiser. I have no idea how many years the carnival had been going when I joined, but it continued for at least another 10 or 12 years after I joined. And hands down, we'd work the carnival for 3 or 4 days a year. And hands down, it was the largest moneymaker that we have ever had in our club. It's unfortunate that for various reasons, we lost the franchise, so to speak. Nothing having to do with our club, just the reality in Pacifica at the time. But yes, we had the carnival going with Butler Brothers for many, many years. And it was due to the fundraising efforts of all of our club members and the Butler Brothers and the community that we were able to do so many different projects around the community over all the years. As an example, 3, possibly 4 police dogs over the years that have been funded 100% by Rotary. You mentioned the defibrillators, 1 in every police car in town. You mentioned the fire cams. These are incredible devices, infrared thermal devices, that, as you said, allow the firefighters to see through smoke to find victims. Those are on every truck in town. Scholarships that we've done over the years, scholarship coaching that we've done over the years that Bob has been a very big fan of. The entire thrust of our community for our club has been service above self for the community. I'd also like to touch on Polio Plus, if I might. Polio Plus is a goal started by Rotary International, which is currently 33,000 clubs, 1.2 million men and women throughout the world, roughly 200 countries. We set out in 1985 to eliminate polio throughout the world. At that time, there were 350,000 new cases every year in 125 endemic countries. Our initial goal for Rotary International was $120 million, for our club $16,500. Back in 85 to 90, 91, that was a great deal more money than it is now. And one of the goals I had as president in 1991 was to finish paying off that initial goal of $16,500, which we were able to do. Our latest estimate of funds raised by Rotary International, by the Rotarians, were over $1 billion. We are down to 3 endemic countries, and last year, those countries are Afghanistan, Pakistan, and Nigeria. And last year, we were under 1,000 cases throughout the world. So we are this close, as we keep saying in Rotary International, to eliminating polio forever.
And in addition to the money-raising efforts, there are tens of thousands of hours of volunteer time that it takes to reach every last. What they'll do is have a National Immunization Day, the objective of which is to reach every child in a particular country or region with the vaccine, and they're able to stop the disease in its tracks by that means. I was going to ask you something before that I neglected. When the club was first formed, it had a service project right off the bat that was a little unusual. You want to tell us about that one?
We are not sure if it's historically accurate, but we all love the story that at our charter ceremony in October of 1962, we were in the height of the 1962 flooding in Lower Lindemar, Lake Matilda. And the story goes, in our club at least, if not in true history, that all the Rotarians present in their tuxes and their ladies in their gowns left to help with rowboats to rescue the folks in Lower Lindemar during our gala celebration and during the terrible storms. We think this is a wonderful way to celebrate the beginning of 50 years of service to Pacifica from our club.
We do know they were very active, in any case, very active in that. And fortunately, we don't have that kind of flood anymore with better flood control, but it's always good to get started right away. Let's see, we were talking about fundraising. We do a different style of bowl-a-thon now, and it's a one-nighter, and we have lane sponsors and prizes and so forth, and we do pretty well. I remember my first intense involvement was with the Rotary Carnival, and we used to clear $10,000 a year by that means. About half of it we would give directly to the schools, the local school district, for their uses. Unrestricted funds are always especially prized by them. We don't raise that much with our current fundraising, but we keep busy enough to cover our obligations, which you'll hear about in a minute. We've also had spaghetti and crab feeds at various locations.
Polenta feeds.
Yeah, and we're active in every Fog Fest. And you said something to the effect we were instrumental in getting Fog Fest off the ground, I think?
When the city of Pacifica, due to budgetary constraints, nothing new here, decided, I'm guessing 20 years ago, that it did not make sense for the city of Pacifica to fund the Fog Fest organization any longer. It was the Rotary Club of Pacifica, the Lions Club of Pacifica, and the Pacifica Moose Group. There were 3 representatives from each group that met, and that was the nucleus that formed Pacifica Festivals Incorporated, which ultimately became PFI and took over the Fog Fest for many years until it went to, I believe, the current organization of Fog. But it was basically Rotary, Lions, and the Moose, Ron Wren, myself, several other people that were very active at that time, John Fearing, that kept the Fog Fest going back when the city was pulling out. It was an all-volunteer effort, and it's basically that way to this day.
We run a beverage booth now, and we have a lot of fun doing it.
Yes.
Let's give Bob a chance to tell us how he got involved with Rotary. I'm going to show the audience a photo of some of the activity on a project we had a couple of years back. This is the painting of the exterior of the library over at Park Mall. And Bob volunteered out of the blue to help us out on that.
Yes, I did. I had no idea that there was a Rotary Club in Pacifica. I had no idea what Rotary was. My wife is a member of the Friends of the Library Board, and she came home one day and said, "Hey, they're painting the library down there. Why don't you volunteer?" And so I looked it up, and I think I sent an email that night to Steve, and within 5 minutes, he'd had a response to me saying, "Okay, be down there the next night." And the next day, I found out I was in charge of a paint crew for part of it. So definitely bringing you right in the fold and keeping you busy. I was taken by just the fact that a group of people would come together and try to do this. It's a pretty big project for people of non-professionals, right? To get up there on a roof and paint a building and not really knowing exactly what you're doing. But
I want to go back to the photo just for a second and point out that the roof was fairly fragile. So we used a special technique that was developed for us by a Rotarian from Marin County who's in the roofing business, Brian McLaren. And so you'll see that the folks up there on the roof are standing on planks that are laid on, I guess they were sandbags.
Sandbags with gravel in
distribute
it.
the weight. Otherwise, those roof tiles would have broken up under the weight of the fellows walking around. The gentleman on the left was
Bill Durst.
Bill Durst,
He's
the
a
local
professional
painting
painter.
contractor that he also showed up and donated time, materials, equipment, expertise.
The expertise was the big thing.
Yeah. So that was one of our proudest moments. We've done quite a few other things. I'm going to have to take a look at my list of some of the local projects we've done over the years. For a time, we were providing scholarships. When we were doing very well with the carnivals, we had enough money to provide sizable scholarships for college students and for vocational students learning nursing, that kind of thing. Now what we do is we fund an expert to come over and give seminars to the parents and students, teaching them how to find the good sources of scholarship money. And those are very well attended at each high school every year. So that turned out to be pretty effective. We provided the first color television camera for public access station. I think it was Channel 8 in those days. So this group that is airing us right now. For a time, we provided immunization, or helped provide immunization to anyone in the community that didn't have medical insurance. And that was, once the immunization was done amongst the adults, then that successfully concluded that project. We have provided textbooks for students in various parts of the Pacifica elementary schools through Pacifica School Volunteers. Another thing we do for students is sponsor what we call Interact clubs, one at each high school. They're service clubs within the high school format, and they learn the same things we're proud to be involved in and have been very active and effective. Let's see, police dogs we talked about, and I guess there are 2 active now, or is it one?
I believe 1 active. We've done either 3 or 4 over the years. Rotary Youth Exchange.
Right, yeah. Where
We currently
youngsters
have,
from foreign countries are hosted here. Go ahead.
through Rotary, we currently have 1 young man here from Denmark, Christopher. We are
Fairly tall. We call him the Great Dane.
the Great Dane, yes. And we have a young lady, Danielle de la Husse, who is leaving roughly August, September for Spain for a year, with the counterpart from Spain, Lyra, coming in for a year, August, September. And they'll be going to a local high school. This young lady will be going to a local high school, as will Danielle in Spain for a year. Living here with local families, it's a way of spreading world peace, 1 student at a time.
That is a core value in Rotary, to expand global understanding through this sort of interaction. Let's see, we talked about the fire cams, and they prevent or make it a lot safer for firemen to approach
The
a burning
firemen,
building.
they can find the cool spots and the warm spots. They can find the human bodies. If you have a fire of unknown origin, you can look at the actual wall, see a hot spot from a socket that's shorting out. You can actually look at a vehicle that's been in an accident, see how much gasoline is in the gas tank, which this enables them to know if there's the chance of the gas tank exploding, etc. It, from what I understand, is used by the firefighters on a daily basis in a number of different methods and methodologies in just providing additional safety to the community of Pacifica.
Mm-hmm. Amazing technology.
Yes.
We helped rehabilitate the Boys Club, Boys and Girls Club, I guess it is now, up on Yosemite.
Correct.
And we're pretty good at refurbishing exteriors. We've done a number of house paintings for folks who couldn't afford it. And the most recent painting job was the library thing. That was a big job, and I think we're kind of resting up from that, but we'll no doubt get back into that particular activity sometime soon.
Oh, the roof for Spindrift.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The
Yes.
Spindrift players, they are in desperate need of a new roof, and again, through Brian McLaren Roofing up in Marin, we are able to provide all of the materials they're going to need and volunteers, and this is an ongoing project by Pacifica Spindrift to raise the necessary funds, a few $1,000s, to totally redo the roof. It's a city building, and Rotary is going to be spearheading the actual efforts along with Spindrift, raising the funds along with Rotary and other groups to make this happen.
And a local roofer gave us an amazingly low bid, I think.
This was
Freutel.
McLaren. Freutel is definitely helping, and I
Okay.
believe they're providing labor for free.
Mhm.
Can't
Excellent.
get much cheaper.
Yeah. Let's see. Then those of you who may be familiar with the meeting room on the lower level of the Hilton Library up in Sharp Park know that it's covered with a mural. That was designed by Todd McCune Bray, and he oversaw the creation of that mural with volunteers, and the Rotary Club provided the necessary funding for some remodeling before the mural was put up and to help with the painting of the mural itself. So that was a goodie. Let's see. For a while, we were helping with local visitations to serve meals at Samaritan House, which is a shelter for San Mateo County. And when the call comes, we turn out for that sort of thing also. Let's see.
Rotary Plaza.
Yeah, let's not forget
Rotary
about the
Plaza. Oh, yes, that's something. The concert hall used to have kind of a weed patch outside its entrance, and what we've done is one of our members is a landscape architect, Wendy Santiago, so she designed a plaza for that area. Can I show
And-
that, or do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, the Rotary Club of Pacifica is the lead organization, along with Pacifica Performances, the Sanchez Arts Center, Pacifica Garden Club, Pacifica Credit Union, the City of Pacifica, PB&R, and the Department of Public Works. North Coast County Water District, we have a drought-resistant demonstration garden there. The Sam Mazza Foundation has been very generous with recent financial support for us. Daniel Electric has been great. Mike Lewis Concrete, Jaime Osorio Landscaping. We've had any number of work projects there. This is a major achievement by our club and all of our partners, and it's our 50th anniversary gift to the City of Pacifica, I guess, for hosting us for 50 years while we keep serving the folks here in Pacifica. And everybody is welcome to take part in this. You can find out more about the plaza at pacificaclubofrotary.org or .com. You can buy a brick. You can join us there. You can stop by and just enjoy the park. When you're driving by on Lindemar and you go past at night and you see the lights, that's Rotary just shining a light on Pacifica.
The activity that's going on there this week, they've just started building the forms for the concrete benches that are going to ring the plaza there. So that'll be interesting. That work will be finished by the end of this week. And next week, we hope to have a monument in place honoring Mildred Owen, who was a very instrumental character in developing the arts in Pacifica. It all depends on whether the foundry gets the plaque to us in time. So let's see, Bob, your year's coming up. So you've been thinking about what's going to occupy your time, and any particular things in your focus that you'd like to talk about?
Well, for me, it's sort of get the word out. When you look at Rotary at the highest level, it is the single biggest service organization in the world, between 1.2 and 1.3 million members, clubs throughout the world in just about every country. But what Rotary really is individuals like yourself, like Steve, like me, coming together in small community clubs to undertake projects that help the community, to undertake projects that help the world. And that's really the power of Rotary. And I think we're probably the best kept secret, or maybe the worst kept secret in Pacifica. When you go through the list of accomplishments that this club has done from its inception 50 years ago up until what we currently got going on today, it's amazing. It's very impressive. That's an organization that knows how to get things done and accomplishes what they set out to do. And I think that's evident in the support we get from the community. You showed the little balances we use to get up on the roof in the Pacifica Library. I think that's a great example of how the club comes together, how clubs come together to help each other get things done. We had no idea how to get on that roof. Steve made one call to Brian. Brian says, okay, I'll be right up there tomorrow, brings everything we need, shows us how to do it, problem solved. Example after example of that. And so I think really it's the challenge right now is let's tell everybody in Pacifica about Rotary. And if you've got things that you think needs to be accomplished in the city, come let us know. Come on Tuesday mornings to our breakfast and come meet us, right? I think if you get exposed to Rotary, you can't help but being impressed, and hopefully that will mean new members for Rotary and new projects and new ideas.
You might get involved in helping us distribute our dictionaries to the third graders in town. I'd like to show one of the books that we've been able, for the last 5 years, we've been providing these to every third grader in Pacifica, both in private and public schools. An illustrated dictionary, many times it's maybe the first book of their very own they have. And they really respond to it well. It's a real kick to go around to the classrooms and pass these out and give them a little instruction on how to make use of them. Let's see, then I'd like to cover quickly just a few of the international projects that our club has been involved in, because some of them are on an individual club-to-club basis, not just the international level. This is a photograph of a women's sewing school that we sponsored for Afghani refugees in northern Pakistan, so that they wouldn't be destitute and they wouldn't be totally dependent. So hopefully this sort of effort represents a seed that will grow and help increase understanding in the area.
On a side note on that one, Jerry, it just came to mind, the last number I heard, and this is a couple of years ago, was that we had trained 110 women at that point.
Mm-hmm. Then also, our local club has been involved with helping equip a boys' orphanage near Guadalajara in Mexico. Ordinarily, the communities down there do find it possible to provide for the girl orphans, but the boys are kind of left on their own at times. So this was an urgent need that we were able to help fill. And we worked with the Rotary Club of Daly City to provide several van-sized school buses for Armenia some years back so that children in remote areas could reach the schools. Then there was a senior center down in Brazil near Sao Paulo where the funding would vary. It was public supported, and we helped them to establish, of all things, a candy manufacturing capability so that they could stabilize their income and not have those very lean periods. We talked about the sewing school. We've helped with a couple of clean well and water purification projects in various parts of the world. And we're currently very active in what's called microcredit. Would one of you gentlemen like to say a word about microcredit?
You probably know a lot more about it than me.
Microcredit is a method where various groups are able to donate money that is very carefully husbanded, shepherded, guarded, if you will, and it is loaned out to small groups, primarily women, for use in setting up small businesses. What we have learned over the years, when I say we, that's a very, very large we. Rotary has been active for the last 10, 15 years. This has been going on since the mid-70s. Is that the women, when they start a business with a small loan, the money goes back into their family, it goes back into health needs, and it goes back into education. The women are far better at taking care of the families and guarding the money, if you will, than, unfortunately, the gentlemen and the families. So with a very small loan, $50, $100, $150, that is payable back to the organization, these women are able to start small businesses and to increase the quality of life for themselves, their families, their villages, and ultimately the entire world. You're taking those that are used to making $1 a day, if you can imagine that, and you're helping them to find a new way with their own labor and their own efforts to build a better home and a better future for their families and for their communities.
And it's not just the money, it's not just loaning them $150 or whatever the amount is, it's the training that goes along with it. A lot of these people, the concept of profit and loss and how to be successful in a business, they've never been educated on. So it's not just the money, it's all the education that goes along with it to help them be successful.
And it's ongoing. The money
revolves
as
around.
they pay it back, it goes on to somebody else, and it just continues like dominoes.
Right.
Yeah, excellent program.
Another one of my favorites is asparagus for Lithuania. If you remember that
Yes.
one. You wouldn't think of Lithuania as an impoverished area, but through the course of events, they had farmers that didn't have a cash crop. Lithuania was never heard of asparagus, and one of the club members locally brought asparagus to Lithuania, and now it's a thriving crop.
Serious change in there.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, we're just about out of time, and I want to remind folks that if they want to give us a look, come on by for a breakfast meeting at 7:15 at the Sharp Park Golf Course in the banquet room. And if you'd like to contact anybody in the Pacifica Historical Society, become involved in our programs, help restore the Little Brown Church, or rebuild the railroad car that's going to be a museum in town, contact us either through Post Office Box 752, Pacifica 94044, or check out our website, pacificahistory.org, or give a call to 650-359-5462. And thank you very much for watching our show.